Now our code is very good and we create multiple raindrops, but when you're running yours you might notice that there's a feeling of consistency to it, to conformity, a pattern to the way the raindrops fall. The raindrops are all starting at position -5. They are all dropping by 7 pixels each time. All of them have the length of 5 pixels and all of them are 1 pixel wide. What if we change things? What if I decided, for example, that I wanted to vary the width? I wanted to change the width of each raindrop. Not wildly, not make them silly, but maybe I want them 1 and others 2 pixels. Maybe that will give me the feeling of depth. Well, I can do that. At the moment I've got a fixed value here, 1. That's it. But why don't I set up a characteristic, one of the properties of the raindrop? I can set self. Self means when you give me the name raindrop 1 or raindrop 2 or whatever else, that's what I'm talking about. Raindrop 1 needs another part of itself. This is the x coordinate and the y coordinate, and I can create many parts to this. Here we've got a variable up the top here, raindrop underscore spawn underscore time, that can only store one value. It can store 0 because that's all there is. This is a single box. This is a single box, self, but it's got many compartments to it. It's got 2 at the moment, x and y, but I can create multiple compartments. While this one is a single box that will hold one thing and only one thing, I'm now subdividing my box up. I'm separating, or putting dividers in there and say, right, you can put something in there and put something in there and put something in there. This first one holds a random number between 0 and 1000 and stores the result into x. So raindrop 1 will have a different x coordinate, that's the left to right position, than other raindrops. But they'll all have -5 at their start. They start 5 pixels above the screen. I'm now going to create self dot, and let's call it W for width. I could actually put the word width in there if I wanted. That makes sense. Now I could put 1, and then all I've got to do is change this to say self dot width. How do I know to do it there? Well, partly because the code is showing me there's self.x. Notice the self dot, there's self dot there, and self dot only appears within the class. Each function, each routine here, each definition has a parameter called self. So as long as the parameter is in there called self, then each of them knows what we're talking about. Take the name of the raindrop and then use it here. So I can see that I can use self there. What's that going to do? Well, when self is 1, all the raindrops are going to have the width 1. If I run this, all that's going to happen is I'm going to have exactly the same as we had before. All the raindrops starting at -5, randomly starting along the x coordinate, somewhere along the x coordinate, all with a width of 1. Of course, that's if it ever runs, which it's thinking about doing. And there we have them. There's that conformity. It almost looks like the lines on an automatic piano, but they're all 1. So I haven't done anything to change the way the program works, I've just done that. But I've created a new property within my raindrop. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to use this idea. I'm going to give it a value, not 1, but I'm going to tell the system to choose a value for me. Not between 0 and 1000. I mean, 0 would mean there would be no drop, and 1000 would mean the largest raindrop we've ever seen. But what about 1 to 2. Let's say 1 to 3, so we can see some significant difference. That's going to choose a value between 1 and 3. It says rand int, so it's going to only be 1, 2, or 3. So when our raindrop is created, its thickness will be created as well, its width, and that will be constantly used. So if we now run this module, and again we've got to wait for it because it's got to work out what our code is doing and execute it. So there it goes, it's starting. You can see we've got different size raindrops. That's kind of pretty. It changes some of the properties, but there's still a consistency. After a while it just feels that all the drops are going at the same time. So here's the challenge. Given that information, knowing that the drawing is here, can you get it so that the raindrops fall at different speeds, that they move at different speeds? Can you get some of them to start slightly higher or slightly lower than -5? Don't make them too high up or low down, but have them so if they start at different points, they're going to fall in different points as well. I'm noticing that I'm adding 5, so the raindrops are all the same length. Are you able to code it so that the raindrops are all of slightly different length?